What the?
Okay.
Oh my god!
Oh! No, that's
How much time does humanity have left before the sky closes up? Red fire tears across the horizon. The ground shakes hard under violent steps, and up above, strange signs keep showing up one after another, like alarm bells ringing from heaven. Chaos isn't far off in the future anymore. It's pouring into the present, forcing everything to move fast and uneasy. From wildfires spreading wide, lava flowing down streets, ancient rivers drying up completely, to weird lights and shapes in the sky, 10 events coming one right after another, like puzzle pieces that can't be turned back. The Bible once said signs would appear in the sky before the big moment comes, and now it feels like each scene is speaking for itself. Do you feel something strange too? If so, please leave a prayer down in the comments before we go deeper into this story. Now, come along with me. Let's look at the truth hidden behind these mysterious events. We'll start right away with the very first one. 1. An uncontrollable fire swallows Palomares, Concepcion, Biobío region, Chile. The fire came out of nowhere, ripping through the night in Palomares, Concepcion, in Chile's Biobío region. It spread so fast, it stopped everyday life in a heartbeat. The sky turned strange colors. The air got thick with smoke, and in just a few hours, everything normal turned into pure chaos. Watching those scenes feels like time itself is speeding up. Biobío is full of hills and thick forests, where strong winds blow down the slopes and turn into perfect paths for the fire to race along. Once the different spots joined together, the flames didn't stay put. They chased houses and roads, forcing whole neighborhoods to run for their lives in the dark. Official news reports say thousands of people had to leave their homes, grabbing whatever they could before the fire hit. Huge walls of flame shot up hundreds of feet, painting the sky a deep red-orange, like an endless sunset. Thick smoke blocked out everything, burned down more than 250 homes, took at least 18 lives, and sent around 20,000 people fleeing. According to the latest reports, roads got blocked, cars were left behind, and folks had no choice but to run on foot as the fire closed in right behind them. In the middle of all this, a lot of people thought of Joel 2:30. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke. Those old words suddenly felt very real as huge smoke pillars rose up and the firelight glowed on the night clouds, like a warning written long ago. Some say it's just the result of tough weather, strong winds, and dry plants. But the size and speed of this fire went way beyond what anyone expected. So many folks can't see it as just another random disaster anymore. Revelation 8-7 talks about, the first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire, mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up. That picture gives a lot of people chills when they compare it to what's happening now. In Palomares, the fire didn't just burn trees. It burned away people's feeling of safety. This isn't just one news story anymore. It's like the first signal of bigger things coming, a wake-up bell ringing before what's next. And if this fire is only the beginning, what in the world is waiting when the ground starts spitting out lava? 2. Molten lava flooding the road. That morning in Hawaii started out tense, like a taut wire, with the ground trembling lightly and thick black smoke columns rising fast from the mountainside. The first flow of lava came without giving anyone time to get ready. Everything happened in a frantic rush, so fast that the footage could only capture the wild, unstoppable movement of nature gone out of control. Kilauea is one of the most active volcanic areas anywhere, where the underground structure is always unstable. When pressure builds up too much, lava bursts out as glowing red liquid, pouring down onto roads that are usually busy with cars. From the videos recorded, the lava reaches thousands of degrees Fahrenheit, flowing in long rivers for miles, completely blocking traffic and forcing people to abandon their vehicles and find a way out on foot. Thick black smoke covered the sky, blocking out the sunlight, while the road itself was melting right in front of everyone's eyes. Watching this wasn't just curiosity, it felt suffocating, as nature kept advancing foot by foot, never slowing down, never going around anything. You see cars left right in the middle of the road, not because they broke down, but because the lava got too close, making people choose between their stuff and their lives. In that scene, a lot of folks thought of Psalm 97:5. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth. The picture of mountains melting that used to be just a symbol now looks very real in those bright red lava flows winding down the slopes, turning hard rock into liquid in an instant. Scientists say this is just normal geological activity for Hawaii, where volcanoes erupt pretty regularly. Still, what gives many people chills is how fast it's spreading and how big the impact is, way beyond what's usually seen in past eruptions. Micah 1-4 described it this way: the mountains will melt under him. The valleys will split open, like wax before the fire, like water poured down a slope. That verse has a lot of people thinking deeper about what this all might mean. Lava isn't just a natural event. It's a force that doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care about roads, cars, or people's plans. It just keeps moving forward quietly, leaving fear and emptiness behind. That uneasy feeling creeps into every frame, making it impossible for anyone to stay calm and detached. If wildfires can turn the sky red, then this lava is melting the very ground beneath our feet. And when even the things that seem most solid can change in a moment, the question isn't why anymore. It becomes, what else will be revealed when the Euphrates River starts to dry up? 3. Mysterious gold bars under the Euphrates River. No big explosion, no dramatic collapse, just the water slowly going down, revealing things that had been hidden for thousands of years. As the Euphrates riverbed cracked and dried out, shiny metal objects suddenly appeared, enough to make anyone stop and wonder, is this just an archaeological find, or part of something much bigger? If you stood there looking at it, would you think of treasure or of a warning? The Euphrates, the river tied to the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, has dropped to record low levels because of long drought and climate change. Sections that used to be dozens of feet deep are now just dry river bottom, exposing caves, stone walls, and structures that water covered for centuries. Southern Iraq has quickly become a hotspot for archaeology, where layer after layer of history is being uncovered. During the surveys, digging teams found rectangular metal bars, smooth on the surface, heavy in the hand, neatly stacked under the old mud. Early guesses say each one weighs from a few pounds to over 10 pounds, and people are talking about dozens, maybe even hundreds of them altogether. Rumors of a gold rush spread fast, bringing arguments, wild guesses, and old stories about ancient curses. Archaeologists are staying careful. Some experts think these could be ritual objects, wealth hidden during wartime, or precious metal used as money by ancient kingdoms. But when you ask them exactly where the bars came from, the answer is usually, we don't have enough information yet, or we need more time to study them. That uncertainty only makes the mystery feel deeper. Revelation 16:12 mentions something striking. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. The verse doesn't talk about gold, but it clearly describes the river going dry as a step toward bigger events. Because of what's happening now, people are quoting this Bible passage more than ever. Some folks push back and say the drought and these finds are just natural things, nothing more. But then Revelation 9:14 puts the Euphrates in another key spot. Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. When the same place keeps showing up in such important verses, it's hard to call it pure coincidence. In the end, gold is just stuff. It can stir up greed, but that alone doesn't explain why the Euphrates carries so many layers of meaning. The river drying up seems to be the real signal. and the gold bars are just the first thing to come into view, like a side sign that comes along with it. And if under this ancient river there isn't only gold, but other living, strange things waiting to be seen, then what's the next question? When nature starts rearranging itself in ways that are hard to understand, is the real message really in the things that are shining right in front of us? 4. Strange behavior of little turtles, revealing a mysterious ritual. In the middle of a quiet stream, where the water only ripples gently with the current, this scene appeared out of nowhere. Dozens of turtles gathered together, touching shell to shell, forming an almost perfect circle many feet wide. Anyone who happened to see it would find it hard to explain with plain common sense right away. There was no chaotic noise, no panic among the animals, just a strange, steady order that made you wonder. Turtles in both freshwater and coastal areas do have certain social behaviors tied to breeding, navigation, or seasonal shelter. But gathering this tightly and arranging themselves in such a precise circle is something very rarely seen. In that moment, many people felt it wasn't just watching some natural animal behavior. It was like standing in front of some ancient ritual being performed again. What caught the eye most was the very center of the circle. 2 turtles were stacked on top of each other, almost completely still, while all the others kept an even distance, forming a clear boundary. The water kept flowing quietly underneath. Leaves kept drifting by, but the whole formation never broke apart. What would you think if you saw that kind of order in nature? A place that's usually so random. Biologists try to give careful explanations. Some say it could be a rare behavior, or maybe a response to changes in water temperature or magnetic fields. Others mention defensive instinct, turtles forming a tight shape to lower the chance of being attacked. Even so, the experts themselves admit that the level of perfect timing and geometry in this circle goes way beyond what's normally described in scientific papers. Job 26:10 once described something worth thinking about. He has inscribed a circle on the face of the waters, at the boundary between light and darkness. The Bible verse isn't talking about animals, but it does speak strongly about boundaries, about order being placed right on the wild, messy surface of the water. When the turtle's circle appeared exactly in that space, it's hard not to think about natural cycles and limits. Leviticus 11:29 mentions reptiles in the context of separation and order. These also are unclean to you among the creeping things that crawl on the ground. The passage is usually understood as a set of laws, but it also quietly suggests that even the smallest creatures still belong to a larger system of classification and rules, bigger than we often realize. Science may call this instinct a survival response, but the perfect completeness of the circle makes many people think of a closed cycle, not random, not total chaos, but more like a quiet sign, reminding us that all life moves in certain preset loops. And if right under the water, animals are showing this kind of hard-to-understand order, then when we look up at the California sky, where mysterious streaks of light keep appearing, what other kinds of order might still be revealed? 5. Mysterious light streaks in the Sacramento, California sky. The night sky we all know so well suddenly looked different when bright streaks appeared and vanished in just a few breaths. Curiosity spread fast, because that moment made us realize there are still things happening beyond our usual control and understanding, even in a world covered with modern technology. The event was caught in the western United States, an area where the sky often sees planes, satellites, and tech tests. But this time, the light streaks didn't follow any normal path. They cut across thick clouds at an angle, then suddenly went out at the horizon, leaving a dark space that made lots of folks rewind the video over and over. From the videos going around, the lights could be seen from hundreds of miles away. Some clips show them flashing behind dark clouds, speed changing all the time, sometimes stretching into long streaks, sometimes shrinking like falling points of light. That inconsistency got the online community quickly split into different opinions. Some said it was just commercial satellites flying in formation. Others mentioned space debris or rare atmospheric events. On the forums, people slowed down every single frame. But each theory led to a different answer. There's no single conclusion, only an uneasy feeling that every explanation still leaves something missing. Many people brought up Matthew 24:29 inches that moment. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. The Bible verse doesn't talk about technology or satellites, but it does describe big changes up above that shake our normal order. Some folks push back, saying today's man-made lights can easily create confusing pictures. Still, the people closely watching this event keep asking about the sudden changes in direction and speed, things that don't match any announced schedules. That uncertainty keeps the debate alive instead of ending it. Luke 21:25 gives another reminder. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity. When you put those words next to the widespread, anxious feeling all over social media, the emotional match feels stronger than any technical details. Whether you see them as a natural event or something beyond our current explanations, those light streaks shook up our usual sense of safety. They remind us the sky isn't just a quiet background, it's also a place where signs can appear out of nowhere. And if the lights in the west were just the beginning of a series of events up high, then when stranger messages show up in the Canadian sky, how far will this story really go? 6. Strange symbols carrying a mysterious message in the Canadian sky. One cold night, the Canadian sky suddenly looked different. The clouds slowly parted, revealing shapes that didn't match any normal flight path we know. The lights didn't flash or explode, they just hung there, quietly, filling the air with a strange feeling and bringing up all kinds of questions nobody could answer yet. Against that calm, quiet sky, one shape slowly became clear. Bright letters, like they were drawn with silver light, lined up neatly with even spacing between them. They didn't disappear right away. Instead, they moved slowly, slow enough for people below to really see them, and slow enough to make your breathing feel a little tight. Once the videos started getting shared, the reaction spread fast. Lots of folks said they saw strange XI letters. Did you see that too? Those words kept popping up again and again on forums. Not so much to find the real answer, but just to make sure other people felt the same uneasy feeling. Scientists quickly came out with explanations. They talked about rocket launches, light reflecting high up in the atmosphere, and swirling patterns left by leftover fuel. According to the technical analysis, under the right conditions, light can create shapes that look intentional, even though it's really just physics doing its thing. Still, what makes many people hesitate isn't where the light came from. It's how sharp and clear those letters were. They didn't twist, didn't fade or blur. They stayed solid for many seconds, unlike most things we've seen recorded before. That little bit of doubt makes the scientific explanation feel not quite enough to calm the growing nervousness. Daniel 5:5 once described a similar moment. Suddenly, the fingers of a human hand appeared and began writing on the plaster of the palace wall, right opposite the lampstand. And the king saw the hand that wrote, letters appearing out in the open, in front of many watchful eyes, bringing that exposed, can't look away feeling. Joel 2:30 keeps coming up too, as another reference. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke. The verse doesn't explain how it happens, but it puts something strange up high as a sign people can't ignore. Whether it's a technology coincidence or something beyond what we expect, those symbols in the northern sky left a mark that's hard to shake. It's like a line of writing hanging there, not explaining, not forcing anything, but strong enough to make the usual order feel a little unsteady. And now that these letters have appeared among the clouds, how much further will this story go when even more symbolic shapes, like the lion cloud at Angkor Wat, start showing up? 7. Strange jellyfish-shaped cloud at Angkor Wat. That moment happened in a rare, quiet reverence at Angkor Wat. Up in what seemed like an ordinary sky, a cloud with a very unusual shape slowly became clear. It didn't drift away fast, and it didn't just disappear. It just hung there, as if something was holding it in place for a reason. Seeing it made you feel like you were standing in front of some kind of sign that doesn't have a name yet. The cloud looked like a jellyfish, with a round, soft bell up top, and long, thin streaks of cloud hanging down below, like tentacles floating in the air. It stayed right next to the top of the ancient temple spire, right where the sacred old stones meet the wide-open sky. The color of the cloud changed slowly, from milky white to soft gray, then giving off a gentle pale green glow before it started to fade. The scene wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, but it created this dreamy, hard-to-explain feeling. The movement was so slow, it almost seemed still, like time itself was being stretched out. The person filming didn't say a word, because the shape was too clear to call it random, but also too delicate to say for sure what it meant. People often mention Job 26 to 8:10 when this picture spreads around. He wraps up the waters in his clouds. Yet the clouds do not burst under their weight. He marks out the horizon on the face of the waters for a boundary between light and darkness. The way the cloud and water seem to blend together brings to mind a kind of order that's been set up, where the line between what we can see and what we can't becomes very thin. Ecclesiastes 3:1 comes up too, as a gentle way to understand it. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. That jellyfish cloud, appearing for just a short moment before vanishing, makes many people think of cycles, things that come and go, never in a hurry, but impossible to hold on to. From a science point of view, some weather experts say it could be a type of convective cloud, combined with high-level winds and just the right amount of moisture. The light reflecting at sunset can easily make familiar shapes appear, and our brains naturally try to fill in the missing lines. Still, many others feel that the exact position and shape make a purely scientific explanation feel a bit incomplete. Angkor Wat has always been tied to spiritual symbols and cosmic cycles, so a cloud looking like a sea creature appearing in the sky above that ancient place feels more like a hint than pure chance. Between those two ways of seeing it, the jellyfish cloud doesn't force you to pick one single answer. It stayed long enough to be noticed, then quietly slipped away, leaving behind the feeling that some kind of larger order is working silently behind the things we can see. And as that fragile image melted into the sky, will the green light beam that appeared in Côte d'Ivoire go on to reveal yet another layer of meaning in this growing series of signs? 8. Strange green object in the sky over Côte d'Ivoire. That moment felt like a little miracle in everyday life. The sky was still covered with thick, heavy black clouds when a pure green beam of light suddenly shot straight down, lighting up the front of an old church in Côte d'Ivoire. The light wasn't blinding. It was soft and deep, giving everything a sacred feeling that made the whole place go quiet. This church is already known for having strange, holy events tied to green light in the past. Right in the middle of a big prayer gathering, the thick clouds parted into a perfect round opening, showing an unusual blue sky behind them. Then the beam of light came down exactly along the center line of the church, like it was guided on purpose. The light didn't stay still. You could see it clearly for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. Then it slowly faded and disappeared as the clouds closed back up. What it left behind wasn't shock or amazement, but a quiet, deep feeling inside. You could sense that moment without needing words, just a hard-to-name emotion. People often bring up Acts 9:3 when this video spreads around. As he was approaching Damascus on the road, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. In the Bible, light doesn't just shine to show the way. It wakes people up and guides them, showing up right when someone is at a crossroads. Then there's Revelation 21:23 that takes it even deeper. The city does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. That picture of light coming from something beyond the usual sun or moon makes a lot of folks think of a source way above natural rules. From a science point of view, some researchers say this could be a rare optical effect. Sunlight gets bent strongly through thick clouds and high humidity, creating a sharp, deep green beam. Under just the right conditions, it can appear for a short time and stay very focused. Still, the people who were actually there keep pointing out how perfectly timed and perfectly placed it was. The light didn't scatter everywhere. It landed right on the church during a religious service. That kind of coincidence makes many see it as more than just a physical event. They feel it's a gentle, holy reminder. Between those two ways of looking at it, the green beam still sits right in the middle. It doesn't deny science, but it also opens a door for faith, where light is understood as God's presence and guidance in the darkness. And after that green light faded away, will the image of a snake face coming out of fire in California, along with those trumpet sounds, keep pushing this whole chain of signs towards something darker and more like a warning? 9. Giant snake face fire streak in the California sky. Up in the California sky, a streak of fire suddenly flared up, twisting and turning like it was trying to take shape. A long, echoing sound carried far, like a drawn-out trumpet note hanging in the air. Seeing that, you can't help but wonder, is this just nature doing its thing, or is some kind of message being sent? California is no stranger to strange things in the sky, from odd flashes of light to mysterious sounds that get people arguing. This time, the sky didn't just glow. It almost looked like it was drawing a face, not some blurry shape, but clear lines that gave folks the creeps, making many people stop and stare for a long time. When people zoomed in on the videos, the fire streak started showing a wide head and a long, curving line behind it, just like the body of some huge creature. The feeling of fear spread fast, because that image taps into our oldest instinct when facing a giant reptile. The trumpet sound coming at the same time made the whole moment feel heavy, like a warning hanging there in the sky. In the hours after, social media exploded with arguments. Some said it was just a light effect or a meteor burning up in the atmosphere. Others went frame by frame, checking angles and lighting. Then one comment kept coming up, said pretty calmly, "Most people think they saw the head of a giant snake." Different opinions didn't calm anyone down. In fact, they made the uneasy feeling even stronger. Revelation 12-9 comes to mind first, then hits like a charge. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. The snake image stops being just a symbol. It carries real meaning of opposition, rebellion, and deception. Then Revelation 8-6 gets mentioned in the same warning tone. Then the 7 angels, who had the 7 trumpets prepared to sound them. In the Bible, trumpet sounds aren't there to make the sky pretty. They mark serious turning points. When that sound lines up with a frightening shape, the idea that it's all just random starts feeling hard to accept. From a warning point of view, that fire streak feels more like a reminder of the final enemy than some harmless event. It doesn't force us to believe right away, but it does make us pay attention. And while eyes were still glued to the California sky, something else was already starting to appear in Florida. Strange swirling clouds waiting to be looked at straight on. 10. A strange glowing cloud showering down on people in Florida. The scene opens in a rare kind of quiet. Along the Florida coast, the sky seems to slow down. The light gets softer. The wind dies away. In that moment, do we ever wonder why sacred things so often show up when people least expect them? A bright white cloud pulls away clearly from the rest of the clouds, hanging lower than the palm trees along the shore. It doesn't have the gray of a storm, nor the heavy look of rain clouds. It's pure and bright, almost glowing. A slow, even swirling motion starts, round and calm, giving a sense of order instead of chaos. As the vortex steadies, small ball-shaped lights begin to appear and float gently down. The spheres don't rush or scatter wildly. They separate one by one, like they're being released on purpose. People who saw it describe a peaceful feeling mixed with awe, as if the space around them was opening to another layer of reality. Job 38:1 comes to mind as an old reminder. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "In the Bible, a whirlwind isn't just weather. It's the setting where God's voice comes through, reminding people of the limits of what they can understand." Florida is no stranger to rare clouds like hole punch clouds or horseshoe vortexes, and science has its own explanations for those. Still, the even glow of this cloud and the spheres appearing all at once make many observers more careful about jumping to conclusions. Staying neutral here doesn't reject science. It simply admits there are still some blanks not yet filled in. 2 Kings 2:11 opens another thought. As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. Once again, the whirlwind becomes a bridge between earth and heaven, between the finite and the eternal. From a faith perspective, the vortex doesn't have to be seen as something scary. It feels more like a symbol of presence, of moving upward rather than falling apart. The spheres, in this view, aren't threatening. They're like little messengers, reminding us that heaven isn't as far away as we often think. Job 37:5 is recalled at the end as an invitation to reflect. God thunders marvelously with his voice. He does great things we cannot comprehend. When 10 different phenomena have appeared, one after another, from fire, sound, to whirlwind and light, everything seems to be gathering toward one point. And the real question isn't up in the Florida sky, it's deeper inside us. Are we ready? After going through those 10 events, everything quiets down, like we all need a moment to catch our breath. From fierce streaks of fire and booming sounds in the sky, to pure light and strange movements we can hardly name, none of it stands alone. They connect together into one smooth line of signs, like pieces slowly fitting into a much bigger picture. When you look at the whole thing, one main thread stands out. The chaos isn't meaningless, and the beauty doesn't just happen by chance. Matthew 24:6-8 already warned us, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but that's only the beginning of birth pains." What we've seen feels like a wake-up call, not to scare us, but to stir up hearts that have been sleeping. At the start of the chain, there's fire, smoke, and noises that make people uneasy. At the end, there's light, whirlwinds, and a stillness that points towards something heavenly. Revelation 3:20 comes like a familiar whisper. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him." That order shows the message doesn't end in destruction, it opens a way forward. The real heart of it isn't about explaining each event with science or pure faith alone. It's about how each of us responds deep inside. Joel 2:12 puts it right at the center. "Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning." This isn't a call to panic. It's an invitation to turn back, get our lives in order, and prepare our spirits. And in that preparation, hope is still the foundation. Luke 21:28 says it plainly. "When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near." In the middle of all the shaking, faith doesn't pull us deeper into fear. It lifts our eyes above the fear and toward the promise ahead. Now that all the signs are laid out side by side, the question isn't what happened anymore. It's what are we going to do about it? Each of us gets our own quiet moment to think it over, to whisper a private prayer, or to write down one honest plea as a real step of faith. If these thoughts touch your heart, sharing the message is one way to walk alongside others, so no one misses these important reminders in such a sensitive time. That kind of connection isn't just following along, it's waking up together. To close, I want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who walked this whole journey with me, and a prayer that every family stays safe and wrapped in peace. Revelation 22:12 finishes with a scene still waiting. Behold, I am coming soon, and my reward is with me. When everything comes together, what will humanity face next? Salvation or judgment? Amen. Have you ever wondered why the sky suddenly starts sending strange signals? The ground just caves in without warning, and the ocean flashes like it's hiding something. Everything happens fast, one thing piling on top of another, making it feel like time is shrinking, and the future has never looked more unclear. The uneasiness spreads quickly. Nobody gets to just stand on the sidelines. Strange swarms of creatures explode in number. Unknown objects rip through the sky. Weather breaks into pieces, lights rise up from the bottom of the sea, messages appear in the clouds, deserts start to bleed, clouds take on shapes you can't even name, the earth opens its mouth and swallows things whole, fire shoots up right in the middle of ice and snow, and glowing rings follow planes in the sky. It all seems to be growing, repeating, crashing into each other, like a long list of warnings that's been written in the Bible for ages. Are we just seeing coincidences, or is this a real warning? Before we get into each strange event, please leave a prayer in the comments below. Just a simple way to show your faith. And now, so you don't have to wait long, we're going to move right to the places where each of these signs will slowly show its true meaning. Let's start with 1. Thousands of bugs cover an entire house, creating a chaotic and terrifying scene. If you woke up one morning and the first thing you saw wasn't sunlight or your usual furniture, but thousands of creatures crawling all over the walls, curtains, and floor, could you stay calm? The air gets thick. A strong bad smell sticks to every breath, and the sense of danger spreads faster than you can even think. That video captures the moment and won't let you look away. It's like a warning that jumps out of everyday life, sudden, with no time to dodge it. That morning in Sochi didn't start with sunshine or the sound of waves from the Black Sea. It started with a suffocating feeling coming straight through the phone screen. Just the first few seconds of the video make your heart sink as dark patches crawl across the whole frame, moving non-stop like one living mass. There's a moment you wonder, if that door opened right in front of you, would you be calm enough to just stand there watching? Sochi sits right next to the thick Kolchak forests, where the damp, dense environment makes it easy for insects to multiply. In recent years, big swarms have been showing up more often, from moths to mosquitoes, spreading along the Black Sea coast and even reaching the Kamchatka Peninsula. In the video, bugs completely cover the curtains, spill down onto the floor, turning a normal living space into total chaos, with no way out. The woman who recorded it said she woke up surrounded by a heavy, awful smell that hung in the air like toxic fog. Bugs kept banging into walls and furniture, making dry, scratchy noises. The whole room, just a few dozen square feet, felt impossible to breathe in. The pest control team took hours to clean it all up, but the uneasy feeling doesn't disappear that quickly. The scene reminds people of Exodus 10:14-15, where locusts covered the land of Egypt, so many that there had never been anything like it. Those old words sound like an echo now, because what's on the screen today isn't in some faraway desert. It's happening in a modern city, right in front of today's cameras. Some folks say it's just the result of warmer weather and natural cycles getting messed up, nothing beyond nature. But when similar swarms keep coming, thicker and across more areas of Russia, that explanation starts to lose its power. Revelation 9:3-4 describes small creatures given power to harm, not with great force, but with quiet, overwhelming numbers. Matthew 24:7 speaks of famines and upheavals spreading one after another as connected signs. That insect swarm isn't just a nature event. it feels more like a warning about how fragile our normal way of life really is. When even the tiniest things start getting out of control, what happens if that line keeps getting pushed further? This may not be the final answer, but the cold shiver down your spine is real. If these swarms don't stop at one coastal city and turn into a worldwide wave, how will we face it when the door no longer closes in time? 2. A strange cloud that almost seemed to have a mind of its own floated across the sky in Philadelphia, USA. The sky over Philadelphia that day wasn't super dark, and it wasn't unusually bright either, but the video that went around made people stop and stare right from the first second. There was this blurry shape just hanging there in the air. Hard to tell if it was a cloud or some kind of object. Inside it, there was this flickering light that's tough to describe. The quietness around the whole scene gave it a feeling of mystery, like something was being shown to us, but nobody quite had enough information to say exactly what it was. Philadelphia is a busy city in Pennsylvania, where tall buildings and city lights usually block the sky. It's rare to have enough calm for strange things to really stand out. Still, that area has had quite a few reports over the years of boomerang-shaped flying objects, with bright light focused in the center and moving in ways that don't follow normal paths. What made this particular video different was how slow and calm it moved. Like whatever it was didn't rush to hide, and it wasn't trying to show off either. If you look closely, the glowing shape looked like a thick cloud, fuzzy around the edges, but sparkling with white light mixed with green inside, sometimes shifting to a soft gold. Some folks said it was probably just a shiny plastic bag or some test drone, but the steady movement and controlled direction made that idea hard to believe. When you watch the full video, you notice the light doesn't just fade out, it changes rhythm, almost like it's responding to the space around it. Similar reports have popped up here and there in the area, glowing points that change color, hovering for several minutes before melting into the clouds. Acts 2:19 records the announcement, "I will show wonders in the sky above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and clouds of smoke." Those words don't explain how it happens. They simply say the sky won't stay quiet the way people are used to. Doubt still remains. Some think it's just an optical illusion from light bending through polluted air. But the video shows the object keeping its shape for a long time. It doesn't break apart like a normal cloud, and it doesn't fall freely like floating trash. Matthew 24-30 talks about the sign of the Son of Man appearing in the sky, without lots of detail, almost like it's just there to let us know that moment won't be easy to miss. Revelation 1-7 goes on to say, "He is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him." That line isn't meant to scare people. It simply points to something completely public and open. When you put those old words next to this video, what's left isn't a firm answer. It's more a feeling that the sky is being mentioned more often, both in ancient writings and in our time now. The glowing object eventually disappeared, and the sky went back to looking normal and familiar. But the question still hangs there. Not really, what was it? But rather, will future appearances just get recorded like this one? Or will they eventually carry a clearer message for anyone who's still looking up? 3. The weather got strange in the weirdest way, like two different worlds caught in one single frame. The moment that video popped up, the first feeling wasn't fear. It was pure amazement. Right at the front door, rain was falling steady, just like any damp, ordinary day. But take just a few steps out to the backyard, and the ground was solid white with snow. Reality split right down the middle in the same picture, making you wonder, are the things my eyes are seeing really from the same world? Halifax sits on the Atlantic coast, a small town used to cold winds and weather that can flip in a heartbeat. Winters there often bring rain mixed with snow, but seeing rain and snow existing side by side in the same living space still feels beyond normal imagination. The video spread fast, and right away people started saying it must be some clever editing job. Things got unsteady when more clips from nearby areas showed up, proving the same thing happened at different times. In some spots, thick snow covered everything, while just a couple 100 feet away, the road was still wet from rain. Nova Scotia has seen 10 inches of snow fall in just a few hours before, but this sharp, clear dividing line made the whole thing feel even more unreal. Luke 21:25 talks about unpredictable changes, then says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and on the earth, nations will be in anguish because the sea is roaring and waves are crashing." When you put those words next to the split scene in Halifax, a lot of folks started seeing the video as more than just weird weather, maybe something we need to pay closer attention to. Meteorologists gave the scientific explanation. Local rain happens when a layer of warm air moves in low, while cold air still covers the areas right next door. With the coastal landscape and complicated ocean currents, it's rare but not impossible. From that view, everything is still within nature's rules, even if those rules are getting harder and harder to predict. Joel 2:30 opens another layer of meaning before the quote, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood, fire, and columns of smoke." Those ancient words don't explain the exact how. They focus on everything being turned upside down, when the usual laws stop working the way they always did. Comparing the two ways of seeing it, one with pressure charts, one with symbolic language, we stand in the middle and wonder which one we trust more. Matthew 24:6-7 reminds us of one trouble after another, then says plainly, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not alarmed, because these things must happen." When rain and snow sit side by side like two separate pieces of reality, that unsettled feeling doesn't seem to be just about the weather anymore. It's also about how we're trying to make sense of what's going on. If one day the lines between different natural states keep getting blurred, will the ground we're standing on still feel as solid as it used to? Or are these Halifax moments just the quiet beginning of a much bigger change that's already starting to unfold? 4. Mysterious light rising under the night ocean surface. The darkness of the ocean always carries a weight that's hard to name. Off the coast of Fort Lauderdale, where the water looks so calm, a surprise video suddenly shows a cold light rising up from the deep. No explosion, no warning, just a gloomy green streak that appears, then disappears, leaving you with the feeling that something is waking up down there on the ocean floor. The Florida coast has long been connected to reports of strange underwater things nobody can explain. Just the area near Fort Lauderdale has more than 300 cases over the years, most of them brushed off because there wasn't clear proof. But this time, the light didn't just stay still. It moved, making the water around it tremble slightly, as if the sea itself was reacting to something invisible. Witnesses say the shimmering streak rose up from about 100 feet deep, and this was recorded through community data on the Enigma app. It didn't look like a submarine, and it didn't give off any familiar military signals. In the thick darkness of the ocean, that movement made many people shiver and wonder, if this isn't some kind of machine, then what is hiding down there that we have never been able to control? Revelation 13:1 paints a picture worth thinking about, even before the words are fully written. "I saw a beast rising out of the sea, with 10 horns and 7 heads." When you put those words next to these lights coming up from the deep, the unease isn't really about the exact shape anymore. It's about the idea of something rising from the place we understand the least. Online, people quickly split into different opinions. Some say it's just glowing sea creatures, something science has recorded before. Others push back, saying the brightness and the way it moved go way beyond normal living things. Then there are folks who stay neutral, pointing out that without more solid data, any conclusion right now is just guesswork. Job 41:31-32 talks about the power of a deep-sea creature, then describes, "It makes the deep boil like a pot. It makes the sea like a pot of ointment." That picture isn't really meant to explain this event. It's more like a warning about the things people have ignored the powers under the water that science and technology don't get to decide. Psalm 74 to 13:14 goes deeper with the warning when it says, "You divided the sea by your might. You broke the heads of the Leviathan on the waters." In the light of these verses, the ocean doesn't just look like a natural place anymore. It becomes a hiding spot for powers that were once covered up, whether it's glowing sea life or something beyond what we know today. These repeated appearances of lights under the sea raise a serious question. If those things keep coming closer to the surface, will the ocean still just be the last boundary before something terrifying steps into our world? 5. Strange message written across the clear blue sky. That night in Texas, the sky didn't just make folks look up because they were curious. It hit them with a real shock that's hard to describe. Among those thin white clouds, a message appeared so plain and clear you couldn't possibly miss it. The letters joined together to spell out, "Find the truth." Right then, who among us didn't wonder, is this just a random thing, or is it a personal call to the ones who keep watching the heavens? The area around Locke, near Houston, isn't new to strange happenings that nobody can really explain. Texas has been famous for years for mysterious lights like the Marfa lights out west. Lights that show up, then vanish, leaving way more questions than answers. But this time, what gave people goosebumps wasn't dancing lights. It was real words floating right there in the middle of the sky, as if the sky was trying to talk to us using our own language. The video that went viral shows those white cloud letters staying sharp and readable for several minutes before they slowly melted away into the air. Some people figure it was just an airplane skywriting ad. Others say it was only clouds that happened to line up perfectly. Even so, the way it looked so crisp and appeared so suddenly made lots of folks feel this wasn't any normal, natural thing. Daniel 5:5 gets brought up a lot as the key before the full line. Suddenly the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote on the palace wall. Back in that old story, the writing came out of nowhere not to tease people, but to force them to face a truth they'd been hiding from. When you set that beside the words in the Texas sky, you get this strange mix of holy feeling and deep unease. The longer people think about it, the more they connect this to larger prophecies. Acts 2:19 talks about signs before the words become clear. "I will show wonders in heaven above and signs on the earth beneath." The real point isn't only what the words say. It's the fact that the sky itself became the billboard, something far beyond ordinary ways of communication. Joel 2:30 keeps painting the bigger picture, mentioning wonders in the heavens and on the earth, like one thing leading to another. In that setting, find the truth stops sounding like just a smart idea. It starts feeling like a spiritual nudge, calling people back to the most important things they've left behind or forgotten. Whether somebody staged the whole thing or it was a genuine heavenly sign, this event put a seed of doubt and wondering into a lot of hearts. If the sky can send a message that clear, then what exactly is this truth it's pointing to? And if there's a next time, how much more powerful might that message be? 6. Thick, stinky black liquid seeps up through the sand. Dubai's desert is used to sand and wind, but this time what stops people isn't a heat mirage. It's a strange, kind of creepy curiosity. Right in the middle of the dry golden sand, a dark streak of liquid slowly creeps out like an exposed vein, spreading a strong smell that makes the air feel different, almost like the ground just opened up and showed a secret it didn't want anyone to see. This spot sits right on the rich oil belt of the Middle East, the same area where surprise discoveries have changed the world energy map more than once. Dubai has lots of stories about treasures buried deep under the sand, but seeing actual liquid come up to the surface and flow in little streams, that's really rare. A lot of people think this isn't just chance. The friends who were on safari said they smelled crude oil before they even saw the thick black stuff oozing out of a natural crack. It doesn't shoot out hard. It just flows, slow and steady, almost like the desert is breathing. When the authorities got the report and came to check, the idea that this might be a sign of a brand new oil field quickly became a serious possibility. Ezekiel 38-12 got mentioned before the old words rang out clearly: to take spoil and to take prey, to turn thine hand upon the people that are gathered, which have cattle and goods. With resources suddenly lying right out in the open, those words feel like they're talking about wealth being exposed, and all the greed and plans that come with it, going far beyond just rocks and geology. Geologists first guessed it was probably an old pipeline leak, but the way the flow looks and that very particular smell point to something natural. Similar things have happened before in the Gulf of Suez area. Some huge fields holding 100 million barrels were found just from tiny surface clues. Psalm 104-15 comes in as another piece when the full line is quoted: wine that maketh glad the heart of man, oil to make his face shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. Oil has always been both a blessing that built our whole civilization and the root of fights and competition. That two-sided nature is exactly why this find makes people pause and think. Jeremiah 6-7 adds a darker feeling when it mentions the image of a fountain. As a fountain casteth out her waters, so she casteth out her wickedness. If resources rising up don't just bring good things but also trouble and unrest, then this flow in the desert might be a quiet warning about what's coming next. Between the burning sand and that heavy oil smell, the natural question comes up: do you think this is just a random geology find? Or could it be the first sign of another big round of conflict? The desert stayed silent for centuries, but when it finally starts talking, what else is still waiting down there to come up? And where will this discovery take all of us? 7. Mysterious black circle in the Palestinian sky. That day, the sky over Palestine wasn't noisy at all. It just went quiet, like it was holding its breath. A round cloud appeared slowly, stayed still long enough that you couldn't look away. And in that moment, did you feel your heart sink a little, like you were facing something bigger than reason? Palestine is a land way too familiar with pain and waiting. Every sign in the sky can easily touch the deepest feelings. Against the pale gray background, the cloud slowly took on a shape that reminded people of something holy. Many stopped, raised their phones with trembling hands, full of hope. Its movement wasn't wild. It was slow, drifting, as if it was watching the people below more than showing itself off. Videos spread fast online, with quiet whispers that this was an image of Jesus, right there in the land of suffering. The haunting feeling didn't come from a clear shape. It came from the emotional blur, where faith and despair were piled on top of each other. Plenty of people said just seeing that cloud made them break down and cry, even though they couldn't explain why. Acts 1:11 came up before the Bible. Words rang out like a wake-up bell. Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking up into heaven? This Jesus, who was taken up from you into heaven, will come back in the same way you saw him go. In that setting, those words didn't feel like some far-off promise anymore. They felt like a reminder that his return is tied to our need to stay awake and ready. Online, people quickly split into different opinions. Some believed it was a comforting sign in the middle of war and loss. Others said it was just pareidolia, the brain seeing familiar shapes in random clouds. A few stayed in the middle, saying the real meaning is in people's feelings, not in the shape itself. Matthew 24-30 was quoted as the next warning. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the peoples of the earth will mourn and beat their chests. That verse woke a lot of people up. It doesn't just talk about hope. It also speaks of facing the truth and what comes with it. Revelation 1-7 closed the chain of thoughts with heavy words. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him. If the cloud in Palestine was just a natural thing, the strong human reaction still shows that the longing to see, to believe, and to be saved is still very much alive. Between the quiet sky and the loud debates, one thing is hard to deny. That image reached deep into people's faith. If signs like this keep appearing in the skies over the most suffering places, are they bringing comfort Or are they quietly warning that time might not be as long as we think? 8. A sudden sinkhole appears in the backyard. Really strange. No warning, no long shaking, just a big open hole right in the middle of a quiet neighborhood in Ipswich, Queensland. Enough to make anyone get chills. A normal backyard suddenly turns into a deep, black pit, like the ground just made up its own mind. Ipswich has layers of buried history. It used to be a busy mining area back in the 1800s. Old tunnels have been sitting quietly underground for hundreds of years. People thought they were safe and forgotten, but now they're becoming a hidden danger. The very places people dug for wealth are now collapsing back on them without warning. An older couple noticed the sinkhole when the ground behind their house started sinking and muddy water came up. In just a few hours, the hole got bigger, swallowing trees and the fence, leaving a pit about 20 feet deep and nearly 50 feet wide. What would you do if the safest place you know suddenly turned into a bottomless hole? Geologists came in with their calm analysis. They think it probably came from old drainage systems mixed with those forgotten mine shafts, slowly making the ground weaker over time. The dirt and rock that used to be held up by basic old methods can't hold anymore. The collapse was just a matter of when, not if. Numbers 16:31-32 gets mentioned like an ancient warning still echoing today. The ground opened its mouth and swallowed them, their families, and everyone who belonged to Korah, along with all their possessions. When you hear that Bible verse, the sinkhole stops being just a ground problem. It becomes a picture of judgment coming right from the earth we're standing on. Revelation 6:12 puts this in an even bigger picture of the last days. There was a great earthquake. The sun became black like sackcloth, and the whole moon became like blood. Ground movements aren't happening one at a time anymore. They're coming more often, more strongly, like a chain reaction you can't stop. Joel 2:10 finishes the warning with a full picture of everything shaking. The earth quakes before them, the heavens tremble. If both the sky and the ground are becoming unstable, is the safety we trust in even real anymore? Sinkholes like the one in Ipswich can be filled with rocks and concrete, but the bigger question stays open. When the ground starts opening up in places that seem the most solid, it's not just about engineering or mining history. If a backyard can disappear quietly, where will the next sinkhole open? And could it swallow a whole city before people even realize what's really happening? 9. Snow catches fire, defies every law of nature. A flame bursting up through white snow isn't something you'd ever expect to see while standing on a freezing cold mountainside. It happens fast and hard, quick enough to smash any feeling of safety. And if you actually saw snow burning like that with your own eyes, would your mind even have time to figure out what was going on? Alta California has always been known as a quiet, peaceful ski resort where the cold covers everything and slows every movement. Feet of heavy snow press down on the ground, locking the whole world in winter silence. But right beneath that frozen layer, something completely opposite is waiting. A hidden energy quietly building up, just waiting for its chance to break free. 2 skiers were the first to stop when they spotted an orange flash against all that white. Fire rose straight up out of the snow. No wind, no spark to start it. And the scariest part was that it kept burning even as the snow around it melted. Hot and freezing cold crashed into each other, creating such a weird, impossible scene that people didn't know whether to back away or just stand there frozen. Later inspection teams found out it was natural gas leaking from below, forced out by the huge weight of all that snow pressing on old pipelines. Similar things had happened before in the San Bernardino Mountains, where 10 feet of snow hid pockets of highly flammable gas. But even knowing the technical reason didn't take away the uneasy feeling of seeing fire come out of a place that was supposed to be nothing but ice. Revelation 8-7 comes to mind like an echo of warning. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail, and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. The picture of hail and fire existing together no longer feels like an old symbol. It feels like it's happening again in a different way. right here, in modern times. Psalm 97:5 paints the melting of the familiar order. The mountains melt like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. When snowy mountains can't stay cold anymore, the line between natural rules seems to disappear, showing a much more fragile reality underneath. Joel 2-3 puts fire right at the center of the wake-up call. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. Fire is no longer just the result, it's the sign coming first, creeping even into the places you thought were coldest and safest. Some folks say it's just a rare accident, a strange coincidence between deep snow and natural gas leaks. But when you see hot and cold clashing like this more and more often, the idea that it's all just random starts to feel less believable. What burst into flames in the snow wasn't only gas, it was also the growing worry that our world is losing its balance. If fire can come out of ice, then what can we still trust to stay steady? When snow can no longer put out flames, a bigger question hangs in that freezing air. Will these little fires stay on one mountainside, or will they keep spreading, turning the last white places into a burning hell with no way out? 10. Strange glowing objects flying in the night sky. The moment the airplane window opened to a deep black sky on the Moscow to Alaska route, that usual feeling of safety just vanished. A light appeared out of nowhere, not like a star, not like any normal aircraft signal. How would you react if, at tens of thousands of feet up, in the freezing Arctic, the things flying alongside your plane were moving points of light that seemed to have a mind of their own? Flights over the North Pole don't see much sign of life, but they're often mentioned in reports about strange green glowing rings, similar to things people have seen in the sky over Moscow. Up there, the space is so quiet that any movement feels huge, and any light seems unusual. And right in that same patch of sky, the camera caught the hardest moment to explain from the whole flight. 4 glowing objects suddenly showed up, dove straight toward the earth, then all disappeared at once. They moved fast, clean, almost perfectly together, without any burning trail or sign of hitting the atmosphere. Lots of folks said maybe meteors or space junk, but the sudden changes in speed and direction make that explanation feel pretty weak. The green glowing rings recorded over Moscow had the same kind of behavior, moving like they were reacting to something around them. Matthew 24-29 once described it: "The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky." When bright points drop out of the night sky without following normal rules, those words hit you hard. Not everything that falls from above is a natural thing, and not every light is just mindless. Doubts keep coming up. People talk about satellite pieces or secret military tests, but satellites don't change direction halfway, and tests don't usually happen right out in the open in front of hundreds of passengers. Luke 21:11 put it plainly: "There will be great signs in the sky." A great sign doesn't always have to be loud. Sometimes it just quietly shows up in the right place at the right time, leaving people with an uneasy feeling they can't quite name. Revelation 6:13 says, "The stars in the sky fell to the earth, like figs shaken loose by a strong wind." That picture isn't just about things falling, it's about the normal order losing control. When the sky stops staying still, the foundation people depend on starts to shake, signaling a chain of events that can't be stopped. Those objects may have only been visible for a few seconds, but the feeling they left behind lasted much longer. This isn't just another UFO or meteor story anymore. It's a sign from above that makes people think again about where they stand in the bigger picture. And if they come back, it won't be just to make us curious. It'll be to mark a new line, where the end isn't some far-off idea anymore, but something already beginning to show itself in the familiar sky. When you look back at all 10 of these events happening one right after another in such a short time, a common feeling starts to come together. None of them stands alone. From the sky changing color, the ground shaking, the ocean glowing, to strange movements up in the air, Everything seems to be connecting into one long chain. The Bible has long described times when the normal order gets turned upside down, not to scare us, but to wake up something inside us that's been sleeping. Matthew 24:6-8 warned, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. These are the beginning of birth pains." The shaking on land, on the sea, and in the sky isn't just natural events. They're like the heartbeat of a world stepping into a time of deep unrest. When you put these 10 signs side by side, the bigger picture slowly comes into view, like puzzle pieces that were already set in place a long time ago. Joel 2:30-31 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood." Those pictures echo in every event we've mentioned, from strange lights to movements that go beyond normal understanding. It's no coincidence that those ancient descriptions match so closely with what we're seeing right now. In times like these, what really matters isn't arguing whether each sign is real or not. It's about turning our hearts toward what truly counts. 1 Thessalonians 5-6 reminds us, "So then, let us not sleep, as others do, but let us keep awake and stay sober." Being awake doesn't mean panic. It means coming back to prayer, quiet thinking, and putting full trust in the one who holds all of history. If there's something stirring in your heart that you can't quite name yet, go ahead and write a short prayer or share how you feel right below this. It's an honest way to face yourself. Speaking those thoughts out loud doesn't weaken faith. It actually makes it clearer and stronger in times like this. To keep walking together through the messages ahead and not miss any more signs that are starting to show, please support the channel with the simple things you normally do. Your presence and companionship are what keep this spiritual journey of seeking truth moving forward and reaching more people. Revelation 1-3 says, "Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it and keep what is written in it." As these events keep coming faster and clearer, one quiet question still hangs in the mind. Has mankind really reached the doorway to the very last chapter? May peace be with you and your family, and may each of us find the light to guide us in the days ahead. Amen. Do you ever feel like time is speeding up with every breath you take? When the ground ripples like it's alive, when the sky suddenly splits with light, when strange sounds ring out like some invisible alarm. The world in early 2026 just doesn't run the way it used to anymore. Everything is happening fast, one thing right after another, like an unseen hand is pushing the wheel of history forward at full speed. 10 things coming, one right after the other. The earth shaking and moving, the sky changing shape, the oceans getting angry, light falling from above, cities seeming to float, fire touching the ground, mountains cracking open, mysterious round marks appearing, loud rumbling sounds, and ice covering everything. Do you ever wonder why it's all happening at the same time? And if this isn't just random, then what's waiting for us next? Before we go any deeper, maybe leave a little prayer, the way you hold on to faith when everything around you is shaking. And now, come with me. Let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the truth together. We'll start right away with 1. The street is pulsing like a giant living thing. Everything happened so fast, we barely had time to freeze. A familiar road, a very ordinary moment. Then the ground underneath started moving like it had just been woken up. No explosion, no warning, just the asphalt pulsing up and down, slow but clear. Enough for us to realize this wasn't just our imagination. The most solid thing we know was reacting in a way no one expected. The movement grew stronger. Concrete slabs rose